Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the GeekWave. This is the low-budget show. It's the show so low it has no budget, and as always, I am the host and creator of Tsunami Studios here on YouTube and the podcast feed, Teron Barker, and I said it like that because of reasons I decided not to tell you. And this week, we are going to be looking at some Star Wars news. I don't really talk about Star Wars on this channel. I don't have that much to say, really. Like, I could do reviews and stuff of, like, comics and movies, but to, like, get into, like, the minute details, that's not really my thing. There's channels dedicated to that shit that could do it better than me. But I figured, we are halfway through Season 2 of The Mandalorian at the time of this recording. The day I'm recording, Episode 4 of Season 2 is dropped. Baby Yoda has bullied a kid in school and stole his food. And we are just going to be like, yeah, I figured this was the perfect time to maybe take a look back. Take a little moment, go back and look at some of the stuff from previous stuff in Star Wars that was created by Disney and just have a talk about it, Because I'm somebody who is a firm believer, and whether you people support this or not, I am a firm believer in Disney saved Star Wars. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we get into the actual main topic. But before that, we always start the Geek Wave going over the news of the week. And there was a lot of news this week. I kind of distilled it down to the things I wanted to talk about, because if I didn't, there'd be so much things we could cover. So we'll just go over a few things quickly. And we're going to start with probably something I'm just like, how is this being made? And because it's being made, why is it being made? Why are we at this point in our lives where this is what's happening? We got our exclusive first look at the new Netflix movie from Robert Rodriguez called We Can Be Heroes. And now here's the thing about We Can Be Heroes. It exists in the same universe as Shark Boy and Lava Girl. So all in the same week, we got set photos of characters that are going to be in there. We got a 45-second trailer, and we got our first look at the mature adult versions of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. And I'm like, this looks so dumb. I cannot wait to see what this is. If there's one person who could make me go like, yeah, it's about time we're getting some campy CGI screen with over-the-top superheroes and dumb characters, it's the guy that gave us Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl the movie. This looks so cool. I think it's right in the era of what I was like watching this stuff as a kid, and now it's coming back. I'm like, this is awesome. Seeing Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and they have a daughter, that's kind of cool. I think that's going to be a really interesting angle. Taylor Lautner's not back, but do we really need him back? I don't think you need him back. You get an actor in there to do whatever. I think it was going to work just the same. This is insane to me. Like, just that we're here now in 2020, and come the first day of the new year, we're going to have a new movie with Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Have we reached peak cinema? Yes. Pedro Pascal's going to be in it? Yes, he is. Priyanka Chopra Jonas is going to be in it? Yes. Like, this is awesome. That's awesome. It looks really fun. Looks like their daughter can control water and ride sharks and shit. So it's going to be a really cute movie. Absolutely going to talk about it. And stay tuned on this channel for more talk about Shark Boy and Lava Girl, because we'll definitely be talking a little bit about that in a new video series I'm hopefully going to have in the works come December. And our next piece of news, guess what? That's right. Chris Pratt will be joining the ranks of the Thor cast for Thor: Love and Thunder. I think we all saw this coming, right? Because of their chemistry and how Chris Pratt's probably not going to be working on Guardians 3 for a long while still. Either way, I don't care. I don't really like Peter Quill, and I don't really like Chris Pratt, so I don't really think he'll have a major role in the film. I just don't know if I want to see him, if he is in it at all. It's just gonna... It won't take away from my enjoyment of the film. It's also not going to benefit the film, I believe, having him in it, but I guess people like Chris Pratt. Do they have... They did for a minute in 20... I think from 2013 to 2016, people were like, this Chris Pratt guy's the shit. Now they're like, oh, Chris Pine is the shit. Because he is. Chris Pine's the best. I don't know. I don't care. I don't need Chris Pratt in my life. I don't. I'm not going to miss him. If he never shows up in anything again, I won't miss him. And our next news piece here comes to us by the Goldberg and Rogan team, who are just, they do everything. They are just taking everything you love and making it into stuff. Preacher, The Boys, Invincible, Ninja Turtles was their next one, and now Darkwing Duck, maybe? Holy shit. Why do they do this? Why do they have to pick all these properties that are so cool and just make them perfect? If I was going to say anybody was going to reboot this one, I thought it'd be the team behind the new DuckTales, because that new DuckTales show just had an incredible episode dedicated to the Darkwing Duck lore. So I thought if it was ever going to be rebooted, that's who would do it. But now I'm just like, that's awesome. Yeah, get Goldberg and Rogan on this shit. Like, they could definitely pull it off. They're right in that demographic too that probably saw this show growing up. Like, it's a little before my time, but seeing what the DuckTales reboot did for like Launchpad and was it not Abigail, was Mallard, the Mallard girl, and actually Darkwing Duck himself, I thought it was really cool. I kind of hope it exists in the same universe, and I like the idea that DuckTales takes place during the day and Darkwing Duck would take place at night, so Launchpad could just like cross over in both of them and be the same Launchpad without that being explained in like the original shows. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. But we'll have to wait and just get a glimpse of what that could be. If they work on it, I'm sure they'll start here with Invincible. When Invincible is out, they'll do Ninja Turtles. When Ninja Turtles is done, they'll come over and do Darkwing. Darkwing. I just watched the new DuckTales episode, so I'm thinking about it now. Very exciting stuff, actually. Very exciting stuff. Also, some kind of interesting news that I wasn't expecting. John M. Chu, who directed Crazy Rich Asians, which I will be talking about at some point in the near future. Maybe when G.I. Joe comes out, I'll bring up some Henry Golding movies that I love. He's going to be directing a live-action Lilo and Stitch. Now, this is really weird. I'm like, why are we doing Lilo and Stitch in live action? It seems very awkward to me that that's the one you choose. I'm just like, well, wouldn't it cost a lot of money to have, like, Pleakley and Jumba and Gantu and all those people there? Stitch I could get behind. Stitch I could be like, yeah, I understand why you do this one. Now, I was watching Fat Man Beyond, and I think it was JC or one of those guys brought up that maybe Stitch would be like a Baby Yoda puppet, and we could see like a little Stitch puppet walking around. Like, that could be kind of cool. But this one just seems what a weird choice. Lilo and Stitch is the one you want to do. I like the idea of like the Hawaii setting, so I'm kind of on board for what that could be, but I still think there's something just a little off. Like, that's the choice you do. Like, I could think of like, you're not going to do a Snow White? Really? like it amazes me. They did Maleficent, they did like Mulan, they did Aladdin, but not Snow White. That's weird. Or Frozen. I guess Frozen's still fairly new, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Remember when Wreck-It Ralph, like Ralph Breaks the Internet came out? What a weird movie that one was. I'm sorry, I'm just like, Ralph Breaks the Internet, that was such a bizarre movie. It had all the princesses in it, like Gal Gadot was like Gal Gadot, but sexy in a video game. What a weird movie. So Lilo and Stitch, watch it or don't. I don't care. Oh, man. Now, this is a piece of news I threw in here because I've literally been mesmerized by this video. So Pom Klementieff, who is Mantis in the Avengers movies, she's in a fantasy football league, or is it football? I can't even remember anymore. She's in a sports fantasy league with some of the Avengers cast members, and to trash talk them, she made a video all in, I think it's French, where she's just insulting them, and it is the best video you will ever see in your life. It's literally the most beautiful, choreographed, shot thing ever, and it's so cheap production. It was just her and Simon Pegg just like, let's write something stupid, trashing Chris Hemsworth and Anthony Mackie and Tom Holland and Chris Evans and all these guys, and we'll just like go around where we're filming in Mission Impossible 7 and just do that. And it was so cool, so cute. I'll put up a picture of it so you guys could see. It's just like, I love her. I love her even more now. This is just so amazing. I just had to bring it up. So I'm going to put it in the link will be in the description. You guys should check out this video. It's just so funny and cute. Here's something cool. We got a bunch of CW news, actually. So we'll kind of break it down into a bunch of stuff here. Black Lightning was canceled. That sucks. 4 seasons is pretty good for that show. I mean, I'm amazed they didn't want to spin it off to like his daughters, but I get it. That could potentially lead into a Painkiller spinoff. You know, a character everybody wants to see have his own show. But I don't really care about that. What I'm really excited about, though, is Wonder Woman's new Wonder Woman from Future State. We're going to be getting a TV show adaptation of her origins. So Yara Flor is her name, or Yara Flor, I think. It's one of those two. We're going to be getting a CW show called WonderGirl that will show the origins of this character, who will be making her appearance in Future State very soon. This is like kind of what I want to see from comic book television right now. is just developing new properties and taking chances on them. And it's like, hey, you can start from the ground floor on this character because we're starting at the ground floor on this character. There's not enough history for you to complain about, so you can't bitch and moan that this character is not what you've seen before. I really like this idea. I think it's very cool. This character looks very unique and fun. I'm kind of excited to have a different WonderGirl and a new Amazon to follow. I think that's going to be really cool. I'll always like Donna Troy, but hey, she's doing whatever the fuck over on Titans, so it's fine. It's fine. God, Titans sucks. We got a trailer to talk about too, and that is the Tom and Jerry the movie trailer. Man, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was really fun. It is definitely in the real world, and Tom and Jerry are animated. There's like some other animated animals in there too. But what I really like about this is it did not go the route of Sonic, where it had the characters talking, because Tom and Jerry talking to me would defeat the entire purpose of those characters. They are meme machines. They deserve some meme in them. And I like the idea. I like how this one looks. They like leave their little town. They come to the big city. Jerry takes up in a hotel. The hotel people hire Tom to search him out. Chloe Grace Moretz is making a triumphant return to TV or movies. I don't know. Where has she been? Last I seen her was the Fifth Wave. Is that right? I don't know. Was she in one of the Scream Queen seasons? No, she wasn't. I don't know what I'm thinking about then. I really like the way this looks. Flash animation looks pretty good for Tom and Jerry themselves. The real world thing, it's working for the most part. I'm not someone who would be upset by this news, so I think it looks really cool, really exciting stuff. And our last piece of news, guess what? We talked about Conan O'Brien a lot on this channel, surprisingly. And now we got confirmation that he will be leaving TBS because he's got an exclusive deal for a weekly show on HBO Max. That's some big news for Conan, because TBS kind of saved his career when it was kind of going nowhere. And now that he's coming here to HBO Max, I'm kind of curious what that could look like. That also opens up TBS with a time slot. So TBS, if you guys are looking for a replacement host, hit me up. I'd be happy to jump into the ring there and do something with you guys. But that's great for Conan, man. I think it's a big stepping stone for him, something he probably wanted to do. It's getting him closer to... I don't think he's going to go the route of The Tonight Show anymore. I just think this is a next big step for him that seems to be really working and really paying off. So congrats to Conan for this new gig. And TBS, you guys, I hope things work out for you. But maybe you'll give George Lopez his show again. Maybe. Probably not. We'll see. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll jump into our main topic, that is the Star Wars Disney stuff. So the reason I wanted to talk about this, like I said, it was The Mandalorian's airing, and I was just in this kind of mood like, wow, look at all this stuff Disney did for Star Wars. Now, I said at the beginning of the show, I do think Disney saved Star Wars because before Disney, we had Revenge of the Sith. The movies, while making money, weren't getting well received, and we didn't have a lot of content coming out from it. You know, Clone Wars was happening, I think, and then it's just a couple like random games and merchandise and all that crap. But I think what Disney really did was just kind of like streamline the entire franchise and took it into a really good direction. Now, spoiler alert, these are all opinions. So if you think Disney ruined Star Wars, I'm going to tell you right now they didn't, but you're entitled to your own opinion too. I'm pretty much going to go through everything Disney did for Star Wars, the movies, the TV, and the other stuff, and we'll give like some generic opinions about all of those, each individual piece of those, and then we'll just have a brief summary of like, yeah, they saved it. They definitely saved it. And I really like that idea too, that they saved it, because look, Revenge of the Sith, love it or hate it, it was a mediocre movie. There wasn't a lot to it. And coming into 2015, when The Force Awakens comes out, I think that showed people that we want nostalgia in these different ways and these different troves. And we got that in spades when it came to The Force Awakens. Now, The Force Awakens is far from my favorite Star Wars movie, but it's also far from my least favorite. I think it did a lot of stuff well. That being, it gave us the characters we've wanted to see on film come back and return. It did it in ways that not a lot of people were happy with. I will say, though, they handled Han Solo perfectly. That, to me, was the big takeaway of The Force Awakens, where I'm like, yeah, this seems like the character of Han Solo we've seen in the movies, where things get too real and he runs away and goes back to his old life. I think that worked out pretty cool. I think there's some stuff in The Force Awakens that is obviously a direct ripoff of A New Hope. Like, that's just apparent. It even feels like a mashup of the entire like trilogy at some points. Having Kylo Ren be Ben Solo, I think works for the most part. I have said this before too. Kylo Ren's my favorite of the new characters. I think they really played up his emotional state very well in all of these movies. I mean, maybe not The Rise of Skywalker, but that's on a whole different level of stuff. I think what this did, though, was it really just brought Star Wars back into the forefront of what people's consciousness, you know? Because Revenge of the Sith, it's fading out. Clone Wars has its fans, but there's not a lot of people that are like in depth in Clone Wars. But here we got a new generation of heroes. We got Foe and Finn and Poe, and we got Rey, and their people are interested in them maybe, but not really. We got good actors and actresses, but they're not doing much, and that's kind of what's the problem. And I know back in like the 70s, we started off with like, who's Luke, who's Han, who's Leia, but that was 40 years ago. Things were different back then when we made movies and when we accepted things. We had 40 years to grow with these characters, so introducing 3 new leads that people could maybe not like or relate to, it's a little harder to do now. And say what you will, I don't think... I said the same thing when I talked about like my Game of Thrones, like why was the last season so bad? I don't think anybody dislikes the characters of Finn and Poe more than John Boyega and Oscar Isaac, just because of how they were treated in later films. Like I understand from like a young actor standpoint, coming on to Star Wars is a big fucking deal. That is such a good deal for you. But then being sidelined later on for no reason, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. I would literally hate to have that happen to me. So The Force Awakens broke a lot of records, brought everyone back into the forefront. It gave us everything else we like about Star Wars, including controversy coming up, guys. The Last Jedi. I love The Last Jedi. It is probably my favorite Star Wars film of all time, of any of them. I love The Last Jedi. What The Last Jedi did was like, here's the universe as we know it. Here's where all of our characters are left off. We are going to go in a different way than people are expecting. And yes, I will say this too. It's a little too smart for some people because people want like the Luke's a strong Jedi who's going to attack everybody and take down the fleets. Kylo Ren's going to be the next big bad. Rey is going to be connected to everyone. You don't need those beats. That's not the point of those characters. You know what the entire story of The Last Jedi is? Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. The past doesn't matter. All that matters is where we are now. Rey is not a Skywalker. She's not a Kenobi. She is nobody. Her story makes sense because she is nobody, and that's how it works. Kylo Ren's hatred towards Snoke, thinking he's not important enough, makes the whole betrayal of Snoke feel that more impactful. And there's just something so intense about that. And tell me, Luke Skywalker not being this badass hero, somebody who was afraid of his own power, that he shunned himself away from the Jedi Order and became this kind of like hermit. That's such an interesting angle that a lesser director would be like, that's fucking dumb. Luke's gonna do backflips and kill Star Destroyers and shit. That's terrible. That's stupid, and I hate that idea. This is what Luke should have done. Just be like, I can't do this. I had a moment of weakness where I almost killed my nephew because I saw what he could have become. And he shunned me because of it, and I abandoned the Jedi ever since. And that idea that he has to come back because, look, there's always balance in the Force, but there's also this idea like it doesn't matter what the texts say about light and wrong, you know, like there is a gray area and people are in that zone all the time. I really like that. I really like the idea of Kylo Ren struggling with his potential draw to the light side too. That's such a cool story, such a cool angle to play. And I like the addition of Rose Tico because Rey and Finn is dumb, and if you don't have the testicles to make Finn and Poe gay, which we all know they should have been, Rose Tico is a great character to throw in there. Should she have kissed Finn at the end? Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. But Rose really added something else to that scene that I really liked. Was Canto Bight a little on the nose? Sure. But you know what else is on the nose? Stormtroopers, a Death Star, blowing up a planet with a laser. All of this shit's on the nose. So yeah, I'm fine with having like a little scene where they're in a casino. I love casinos. That's fun. I like seeing that shit. I'm still not a big fan of BB-8, but that's a story on its own. I like this movie. I really do. I think it told a great conclusion to the character of Luke Skywalker. It showed us a universe in where Poe can potentially become the leader once he puts his arrogance aside. And all of this great stuff that movie set up, everything perfect that movie did. In itself, a contained bottle story that shows everything that you love about this universe and these characters, how nothing in the past matters to these characters in the future. What a great way. Rian Johnson's a genius. I don't care what anybody says. Rian Johnson's a genius. To have all that be thrown out the fucking door by JJ and crew in episode 9 is so painful to me. It actually hurts me to my core that that's what they did. Do you know? Because all of it got thrown away. Snoke being his own person got thrown away. The entire story with all these characters doesn't matter anymore. And it's so painful. Like, this is where we went. This is where we went. Why is Rey a Palpatine? What is the purpose of that? Why is Palpatine back at all? We have not had any foreshadowing of him returning in any of the movies and any of that shit. You pushed Rose Tico to the side. You gave Finn nothing to do. You gave Poe nothing to do. None of these characters had anything to do, and you gave them such great, beautiful stories in the last one. And you threw it all aside for shitty fucking fan service, man. It is absolutely abysmal what they did to those characters. It hurts me, man. Especially as someone who's like, that's brilliant. That is taking the Star Wars in a new creative direction, and this is what you did with it. This shit. It sucks. It is so painful and heartbreaking to feel and just experience, because I'm like, damn. You literally whimpered out of this franchise, man. You destroyed Star Wars again for a lot of people, you know? That's why I do believe the future of Star Wars is on television and in smaller stories, because look what you did with the big stuff. You ruined it. You crapped on it. I don't want JJ to touch these things anymore. Maybe Quantum Leap. So that's our big new trilogy in a nutshell. A mediocre first outing, an incredibly amazing second movie, and then a whimpering, sad note to end on with The Rise of Skywalker. But in between those movies, we also got something pretty cool, and these are the Star Wars story movies. So we got 2 of them before they're like, oh, these aren't good, or we can't make money off these anymore. Our first one that came out right after The Force Awakens was Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I don't think it was Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I think it was Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And this is kind of like what these should be going forward. So the entirety of Rogue One is just that we're going to get the Death Star plans. We have characters now who can do these things and be a part of them, and it's just a really cool story. You really feel like the military side of things in the like rebellion itself and how they go against the Empire. You have such great actors who became big names after this. Diego Luna is fantastic. Ben Mendelsohn is fantastic. Mads Mikkelsen's fantastic. Felicity Jones is fantastic. They're all fantastic actors in here and really distinct. I wish we got more of these characters, and I know we have that Cassian Andor series potentially being worked on right now. I really want to see that. I really do. I think that could be a really interesting piece to see, just because there's so much uniqueness to these characters and this world where we're not looking at like the rebellion as like this glorious thing that's saving planets and saving people. It's like the seedy underbelly of the rebellion, like the things Cassian did to get where he is and had to do these certain things. The way that Forrest Whitaker's character reacted to Jyn in this entire world, trying to build these different places and stuff. It's like, that's really cool and dark. And that the third act of this movie, perfection in a nutshell distilled for the Star Wars universe. Legit, it's just so perfect and so cool to see that's where Star Wars ended up. In this epic battle on this, like, was it Scarif, I think is the planet? This beach planet. Y'all know I'm a sucker for things with beaches. That's why we're Tsunami Studios here, y'all. And I just love it. I just love the way it looked. All of our characters getting like this dirty dozen send-off. This like climactic ending to everyone. Starting with the robot where we're like, this is how we know we're going to lose. But we're still going to win in the end. It's some great, great stuff in here, man. Alan Tudyk's K2SO, still a very classic droid. I cannot wait to see him return. We get some really cool moments of Darth Vader, arguably the coolest moment with Darth Vader in any of the movies, where he's walking down the hall, killing all like the rebel troopers, man. That shit is cool. That's what you want from Darth Vader. That was so cool to see. It's just such a fun and bright and interesting movie that feels like a military kind of thing. Very Suicide Squad-y, but in all the good ways. And man, I like that. And this is why I'm like, when we look back at what Disney did for Star Wars, not only did it bring it back into the forefront of people's minds, it showed you that, yeah, we can take this in some different directions than what you're expecting. You want to see the rebellion in this beautiful light? Nope, there's some shady people that had to do dealings there too. Things you do to survive, things you do to become a part of a rebellion. I really like that, and that kind of becomes a theme later going forward too with some of the other stuff that they work on. It's just like, there's some shady shit going on, but we can still have fun with it. Guess what, guys? We got another piece of Star Wars, a Star Wars story to talk about here, and that is Solo. Solo, do you guys... Man, talk about the engine that really tried to... I like Solo a lot, actually. I think it's one of the most interesting attempts at making something different in the Star Wars universe, because you don't really need an origin to Han Solo. Like, you've never really had to have it. But the fact that you did is a bold attempt on itself, and I kind of think it's interesting. I will say there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that we don't need to get into, and I understand that it might make some people hesitant for it, but aside from, like, we don't need the origin for Han Solo, objectively speaking, it's a good outing for these characters, and for the character of Han Solo, just seeing how he becomes the man that he is, I think it's pretty cool. And I've said it before, Alden Ehrenreich is a very underrated actor. He just needs to be given the right script. He does. He's a very talented man. When you give him the chance to shine and do beautiful and creative things, Alden can be a fantastic actor. Emilia Clarke is somebody I like too. Kira, I think is her character's name. I haven't thought about her since the movie, but there's a lot of cool in here. There's a lot of cool in here. It's just funny. It's different. It's outside the box. We get some really cool ideas that Lando hooks up with a robot, which I'm like, what a weird thing to do. Because now I'm going back thinking about it. She's like, trust me, it works. Like, we fuck. Okay, that's bizarre, but okay. And some more Chewbacca stuff. Like, it's a cool attempt at making a movie, doing some fun stuff in the Star Wars universe, and it's Ron Howard kind of coming back to that classic Disney family stuff. I bet you he signed on so we could get Willow made, and that's okay. I have no complaints of him doing that. It worked really good. It looks fine. Like, it's a really fun attempt at doing something new in Star Wars, and that's, to me, exactly what Disney wanted to do. They were like, hey, this is a billion-dollar franchise. We spent $4 billion on buying this bitch. Let's try some new shit with it. We're not just going to make movies that people like. We're going to make side movies. We're going to make a theme park. Let's talk about that theme park for a sec. They made an entire theme park in Anaheim called Galaxy's Edge. I've never been, but I heard good stuff about it. Good to mixed, at least. I haven't heard anybody say, oh, this is garbage and awful. I think they're still kind of like building some stuff in it. And especially in today's climate with like COVID and stuff, it didn't really get like the push it needed to be something bigger. Especially that nobody's going to the park. But hey, we got an entire theme park dedicated to Star Wars because Disney bought it. Disney is the king of theme parks. You know what? I think we will pin this conversation a little bit later and potentially come back to a best theme parks of all time video GeekWave thing. I really do like that. So Galaxy's Edge, it's kind of cool that we have that. That's in Star Wars canon, where you could come in, you can go to like this new planet in the system, and you can see some of the familiar faces, some of the characters you are familiar with, and all that stuff. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I think that's a very exciting thing to show. Just a really cool thing. And it's nice that Disney was like, yeah, we got a moneymaker here, so we're going to take risk and do stuff. One of the things to me was very important that they did was bring back Star Wars comic books. Now, you could say this is thanks to Disney buying it, and they're like, yeah, we should make some comic books, so they give it to Marvel. But I will say, though, what those comic books did, what Marvel did with those comic books, is really cool. There's some really good stuff in those books. We got so many interesting things that are canon. We got some characters like Darth Vader getting some play. Like Han Solo had a cool mini. Lando had a couple cool mini books. And you know what? We got a great new character called Doctor Aphra who people love and they cosplay as her. She's a great face. Some people think she might be getting her own like series from the Russian doll creator. I fucking hope so. Doctor Aphra might be one of the best things that modern Star Wars has created just because she's so different and unique compared to a lot of the other things we've seen from modern Star Wars. I just love having her, man. Like, that's so cool. And just the way some of these books take on different things. We're seeing the time between, like, A New Hope to the Empire, or the time between Empire to Return of the Jedi. Just some really interesting stories. We're getting some the Age of Resistance stuff. We got kind of like more timescapes. On that note, too, we got some great new books. Now, I haven't read every single book that came out, but I got a couple off to the side here. I got the Rogue One tie-in book called Catalyst, which was it was a really fun read, a really interesting read, that one was. And I got Last Shot, which is the one that tied into the Han Solo movie, where it's talking about Lando and Han on like this one last adventure while they're still kind of young men. Ben Solo's alive, but he's a baby. I think it's a pretty cool idea. Like, we got some great literature from Star Wars again that's in canon, so you can bring all your characters back, have some cool stuff happen there. Very fun to see all that stuff, I think that's a very cool idea that was presented. And I would love to see more variation in the comic books when it comes to these characters, because Doctor Aphra, to me, she's the most successful one, obviously. But also, like, come on, let's experiment. Let's go to different eras when it comes to these Star Wars comic books and novels. We could do these all different things. Which is why I'm like, that's cool, we're getting the High Republic. The High Republic's a really fun concept that I like to hear about, where it's like years before the events of everything happening. So we could get an entirely new cast to like sink our teeth into and enjoy experimenting and seeing what they do. That's really exciting to see. I think that's going to be a very fun, interesting concept to bring up. We'll see a really cool, potentially teenage Yoda being like an arrogant little bitch. I think that's going to be really fun. It's going to be comic books, and it's going to be novels. So that's really fun. I can't wait till that starts. It's going to be a really cool concept. I'm just so excited for Star Wars again. It's really nice to be excited about Star Wars, isn't it? Because it's going to be in our lives forever. Until we die, there will probably be something happening in the Star Wars universe that's really cool. And we got video games. We got new Battlefronts. So those are good. People like those. I haven't played any of them because I don't own a console. But people like them, so that's fun. That's fun, right? People like console games and shit. Great. Now, it would be wrong of me not to talk about the television and the TV shows that have been created in new Star Wars stuff, starting with some of the newer things happening in the Clone Wars. We got those final seasons coming out. People really seem to like those. To me, it was just like, I don't need to see how this ends. I already know where these characters end up later, so having those moments doesn't matter to me. But let's talk about the show that kind of brought me back into Star Wars in like a big way. It's one of the first things I kind of talked about on this channel in depth a long time ago when it came to Star Wars, and that was Rebels. Now, Rebels was a brilliantly crafted show. It started off very childish, which is fine. Sometimes you have to, crack a few omelets to make an egg. No, that sounded wrong, but you know what I mean. You have to start off there to get to the good stuff. They brought in Rex. They brought in Ahsoka, and they brought in Thrawn. The character everybody wanted to see return is back, baby. Thrawn was like the staple of the Legends stuff. I would say he's probably one of the biggest faces of the Legends, but they brought him back here in this big way. They gave us some incredible moments to seeing Darth Vader fighting Ahsoka, and we have all these incredibly powerful scenes with Darth Maul returning. And that Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi final confrontation, man, that still haunts me to my core. That was such a powerful and intimate moment between two characters that have such a rich history together, all the way from episode 1 up until the Clone Wars. Having in this final moment in Rebels the conclusion to the Darth Maul vengeance story is such a powerful moment, man. Such a weird, intimate story that is just so brilliant and fascinating. I absolutely adore it, man. So cool. Such a powerful moment. Such an intense moment too. And seeing our crew of the Rebels just kind of like maturing and growing up and doing certain stuff. New characters are being introduced. Older characters are finding their conclusions. We get more canon stuff like Rex was at the Battle of Endor. All of those things are coming into play. And it's kind of exciting just to see like this is where we are. This is what we've done. It's just really, really powerful stuff. And Rebels, like I said, it started off as this one kind of like, what's Chopper gonna do today? And now it's like, Kanan is blinded and he's sacrificing himself to save his crew, leaving Ezra to be one of the only Jedi left in the world. Well, there's a siege happening on Mandalore where Sabine's trying to figure out how to protect her people, while Hera's trying to be a bigger general in the rebellion. And guess what? The Ghost is in Rogue One. So it's all tying together, baby. It's all tying together. Everything's happening. All this stuff is important. Comic books, cartoons, novels, video games. It's all canon, man. What's the name of the girl from Battlefront 2? That, Iden Verso, maybe? I don't know. It's all cool. It's all cool shit, man. Like, it's just really exciting to see some good stuff in Star Wars again. And you know what else is really good in Star Wars? The Mandalorian. That's right. Holy shit. I have some issues with the first season. I think the pacing's a little weird, especially when we don't know a lot about what it was supposed to be. But man, is it cool to see a universe that's like seriously just going, yeah, this is the Old West. It's a Western. It's an old samurai film. Everything's so intense. We're just gonna like let the scenery like take you to the story. Like the environment will tell you the story. We don't have to have a lot of dialogue or moments. You'll understand everything going on from everything happening. It turned Baby Yoda into a viral sensation, which is kind of impressive in itself, isn't it? Having Baby Yoda be that is, and keeping that a secret is so cool, man. Like, that's impressive in on itself, I gotta say. And the way it's bringing in all these different aspects of lore, we're probably going to see a lot of cool stuff coming up soon in Season 2 that will connect to this. I really like what The Mandalorian did. It kind of brought Disney Plus into prominence as like a big streaming competitor. And now it's like, yeah, we're going to actually tell good stories instead of cheaping out on you. Get ready to see what's coming down the pipeline. Man, it's exciting. Just so exciting. Just having that feeling again. Just liking Star Wars again. It's so cool. It's so exciting. I cannot believe we live in this era, man. You know, Star Wars has always been an important part of my life. It's one of the first things I remember seeing, and I'm just like, this is really nice. I want more of this. And now we live in an era where we have an overabundance of Star Wars, and for the most part, it's all really good. There was that Age of Resistance show that some people liked. I didn't really care for it that much, but you know, we just have some great stuff in the cartoons. We got some great stuff happening in the comic books. We have some video games that people love to play. We have some fantastic movies mixed in with some okay movies. And we have a live-action Star Wars TV show that will lead into other TV shows, like Cassian Andor, like whatever the Russian doll lady's doing, like Obi-Wan, like a potential Boba Fett show. That's where we are in our world, man. So don't tell me for a minute that Disney destroyed Star Wars with their SJW Kathleen Kennedy agenda. You know what ruined Star Wars before that? The creator. He drove it into the ground, he marketed it everywhere, made some really shitty stuff that not a lot of people liked. But now we live in an era where every week people tune on to the television. They tune on to it. That's a weird way to put it, but they turn on their television. There's a new episode of The Mandalorian. They can go back and see this is where Ahsoka Tano is at this point in time before she appears in this thing. They can go watch Rey, Finn, and Poe have these great, incredible stories that a lot of people can connect to. You can literally go to any comic book store and be like, I'd like to read this Darth Vader issue, and then I'd like to read this Han Solo book, then I'm going to pick up the latest from Doctor Aphra. You can go to a bookstore and be like, yeah, I think I'll pick up this new High Republic book. That could be really fun. You can go play Battlefront. You can play that new Squadrons game that came out. You can go to Galaxy's Edge and be a part of the Batu, whatever the hell's going on there. There is so much Star Wars to love, and it's because Disney was like, this is a franchise that people enjoy. Let's do some cool shit with it. Let's experiment and do some weird stuff that has proven time and time again to work, but we'll do it in a bigger and better way because we have the money and the time and the know-how to get it done. So I am somebody who is a firm believer in the idea that Disney really did save Star Wars from becoming something boring, from becoming something we've forgotten about. I like it a lot. Was there hits and misses along the way? Of course. Every franchise is like that. Maybe we will come back and talk about Disney and Marvel in that regard, because I do believe there's a lot of misses when it came to the stuff with Marvel. But I'm just like, cool, man. We're here. We literally created a new type of like CGI background stuff called The Volume for The Mandalorian, so we're revolutionizing the industry while we're making good content. We're in the peak era of Star Wars, guys. Anybody who is still complaining like, Kathleen Kennedy ruined it. No, she didn't. She really didn't. You know who saved it? Kathleen Kennedy. Guys like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and Abrams even. Rian Johnson saved it. All these people saved it. Charles Scholl, who's kind of like spearheading the High Republic stuff. These guys are saving, and they have saved Star Wars. So it's very exciting to just see that's where we are in terms of everything. It makes me beyond excited that I can go anywhere in the world and have a Star Wars thing with me, because Star Wars is still very prominent and important. So that's kind of like my rundown of Disney Star Wars. I think for the most part it's all very good, except for The Rise of Skywalker. So it's fun. Now, before we go, I always like to end things with a couple of recommendations for you guys, and this week we'll do it all Star Wars themed. So first off, read Doctor Aphra, the latest comic book from her. Really good shit, guys. Really fun and interesting. And then read that Lando comic book. There's the double shot one, and then there was the vintage one where he looked like Billy D. That's a good one too. Read those. Watch The Mandalorian because it's a good show that a lot of people will enjoy. And of course, watch the best Star Wars movie of all time, in The Last Jedi. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening on the podcast feed, please give us a rating and review, as more content will be coming to you guys very soon. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Have fun, stay safe, and may the Force be with you.
Tsunami Studios.